Hey everybody, and welcome to question and answer time number 32. I'm your host, Adam Neely. I'm here answering all of your questions about bass and music in general, so let's get started. Question and answer time with Dmitro Grunt writes, "Hey, Flea, you play too much notes with too much fingers. You not real bass player, use tape for left hand. Do this guy knows bass players use chords, play melodic lines, even slap sometimes. He don't look like an idiot, but says so stupid things." So I love reading the comments in my How to Play Bass for Guitar Players video, because most people kind of missed the mark on what I was trying to do. I was trying to get guitar players who already have a lot of technical facility on their instrument to gear their sort of musical mindset a little bit more foundationally to the bass guitar. Bass guitar is actually not that much different physically than regular guitar, so a guitarist can easily pick up a bass and play notes and play fancy things, play melodic things, and do all that stuff, but it really won't sound like they're doing it with a bass player's foundational knowledge of how the bass relates to other instruments within an ensemble. Bass and guitar fill very, very different musical roles, and all of the tips within that particular video, How to Play Bass for Guitarists, were kind of geared to getting a guitar player in that sort of mindset. So my question for people who leave this sort of comment on that video, How to Play Bass for Guitarists, is if you were the bass teacher for a guitarist looking to switch to bass, what would you teach them? How would you teach them bass guitar? And that pedagogical question of what to teach them on bass kind of strikes at the root of what I was going for with that list of things, which might on the surface seem kind of stupid or just not really within the realm of what bass guitar practice is all about, but it was all for the purpose of getting a guitar player in a more bass-centric mindset. Rodrigo Pavez writes, "Hey Adam, what music software do you use in this video? P.S. Your videos are great." I answer this question every couple of Q&As, but I use Sibelius pretty much exclusively. I use Sibelius for all of the animations and graphics for all of my videos, and the way that I do the animations is kind of like DIY. I basically take a screen capture and hide and unhide like notes within a particular passage in Sibelius, and then I go in Final Cut and I like edit everything up, and you know it does the trick, honestly. And yeah, Sibelius is very powerful, and I know it very well, and I definitely recommend it. This is not a paid endorsement by any stretch of the imagination, but Sibelius is very easy to use and very powerful. Viktor Onopko writes, "Hello Adam, here's a quest for your next Q&A. Have you ever used phone numbers as tabs for random bass/guitar ideas? Greets, Viktor." Yeah, I've definitely messed with that idea before. You could do it with, say, digits of pi, for example, or E, or any stream of digits would really work. There's different ways of doing it. The classic way of doing it is to assign every digit, every number, to a different number scale degree. So the first degree would be 1, second degree would be 2, etc. Maybe 9 would be the second degree octave displaced. I mean, there's different ways that you can do it. Maybe you assigned all the different numbers in like a telephone number to time signatures. So maybe a bunch of people in a band will get together and create like this magnum opus math rock thing with all these different time signatures built on all their phone numbers. You could also do it with letters of the alphabet, for example. You could go and take a page from a book and assign A to be the first scale degree, B to be the second scale degree. There's all different sorts of ways of creating these like musical ciphers. It's a fun thing to draw music out of different sources where there isn't music there already, and it can be pretty inspiring. DSL 101 writes, "I have no idea what you were saying. Why did I watch the whole video?" Jack Brooks writes, "I don't really get the big idea. It's not really that hard." Sir Autismo writes, "So wait, you made a video detailing every step to figuring out something that any musician who understands counting could get without needing to watch this? Neat." Michael Williams writes, "To be honest, I agree with the forum. Just play it and feel it out. Too much math." So yeah, I got a whole bunch of different comments on my How to Play Offbeat triplets video, which ran the gamut from, "Oh my god, that's so complicated," to, "That's so easy. What are you talking about? I use that rhythm all the time." No, you don't, by the way. That rhythm is rare. It's not used that often. From things like, "I just feel it. Just feel the rhythm, man. Why do you gotta involve all this math?" And, I found that kind of interesting because I was trying something a little bit different with my last video. Normally, I cast a wide net on whatever topic I'm talking about, like have a very wide view on music, and I borrow from a lot of different subjects when talking about things like which key is the saddest. But for this video, I talked about how to break down a rhythm. And that's it. And how to break down a rhythm and relate it back to the pulse. You know, if you're a classical percussionist, or if you're a drummer, or, you know, any sort of person who deals with rhythms pretty much exclusively, this is the sort of thought process that you would go through for basically anything and everything. And for things that are a lot more complicated than the offbeat quarter note triplet starting on the and of one. But for other people, maybe they don't have that same sort of background. And you have to understand that when watching some of my videos, I am going to break down things maybe a little bit more more elementary than what you might be expecting. Keep that in mind because different people got different things from the video and different people left the video feeling superior or inferior, and that's okay because everybody is at a different point in their musical journey. Julian Fernandez writes, okay, I've been thinking a lot about this. Makes a lot more sense to make the previous bar 9/8 or 5/8 or whatever. Don't rush to say no. It makes much more sense when you're trying to make it sound somewhat musical. I've been playing like it on the kit and it sounds great. Make the upbeat a downbeat. How's that for faking it, classical dudes? Yeah, so that is definitely a cheat that I thought about including, and several people mentioned that. The idea of thinking about the and of one as one, and then feeling the quarter note triplet in relationship to a different downbeat. I'm not sure if that's the best option in all cases. It certainly might work in certain circumstances, but you know, I definitely wanted to really focus on the idea of feeling the offbeat quarter note triplet to the original pulse and not sort of take any shortcuts like that, and to not be like a classical musician and have to fake it. Smitty Wabablababerry writes, as a classical musician, this is some very necessary shade. Some people in the industry refuse to learn some 20th century stuff because it's, quote, too complex. So I get so many comments from a certain kind of classical musician on my YouTube channel that are extremely arrogant and extremely dismissive of a lot of the things that I say and the styles of music that I talk about, rock, pop, jazz, electronic music. You know, a general feeling like whatever it is I'm saying, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. He's just scum. He's lowly. Let me teach him what he's talking about. Let me learn him. Let me learn him good. For example, this comment. Did no one tell him that 9/8 is counted in 3, 3/4 with triplets? I get stuff like that all the time. 9/8 can be subdivided 2 + 2 + 2 + 2 + 1, depending on where the backbeat is within the rhythm section and how the actual melody is phrased. There is this feeling like because somebody has a certain degree of classical education, not even to the point where you learn that compound meters can be subdivided differently, that you are God among men or women or people. You are the pinnacle of musical education. And that's definitely not true. And, you know, because of that, a lot of people are a little bit intimidated by classical musicians or the certain breed of classical musician, and they are able to get away with it. But I am not intimidated. The emperor has no clothes. I am going to throw shade where shade is necessary, and I'm going to continue to rag on that particular style of classical musician for as long as I have this YouTube channel. So get used to it. Sniper Gurk 1005 writes, great community you got there, Adam. Lots of human beings exchanging thoughts and respecting each other's opinions. Hats off to some great people. I know this comment kind of reads like it's sarcastic, but honestly, if you've been reading the comment sections for my videos in the past couple months, the quality of discussion is awesome. There's some really, really cool, insightful comments and, you know, people discussing and debating ideas for my videos. And, you know, if you really are enjoying what I'm talking about in the video, you know, definitely in addition to reading some of the links that I leave in my description, read the comment section, because in addition to occasional snarky comments that I might leave in the comment section, there's some really cool discussions. And, you know, I can't include all the comments in these question and answer videos because most of the comments aren't really questions that need to be answered, and it really wouldn't sort of fit the whole vibe of this thing. But definitely, if you have left a comment, a detailed comment, trust me, I have read it, and it's really exciting because some really awesome stuff has been going on, and thank you, by the way. Zippy Leroux writes, I really like the painting in the background. The big one I can see, of course. Who done it? Yeah, this painting is awesome. It is probably one of my favorite things that I own, and I did not pay for it. A friend of mine was throwing it away after they were moving, and yeah, there's no signature on it either, which is very confusing, and I really want to know who the painter is. So if anybody has any ideas on also what style of painting that is, it looks like it was kind of unfinished, but kind of in a finished way. So yeah, it's cool. I love it. Will Lacy writes, copy pasta for your next Q&A. Is it always the case that virtuoso musicians start early? Are there any examples of someone not starting until they are 30 or 40 years old and rising to the level of, say, Dennis Chambers or Tony McAlpine? Or I was going to say Viktor Woutenbent, since I've incidentally listed 2 of the members of CAB, Bunny Brunel? So I don't really know of any virtuosos that started when they were a little bit later on in life who can play like Dennis Chambers. But, honestly, I don't really know a whole lot of people who can play like Dennis Chambers. If you think about it, the vast majority of musicians will have started earlier on in life anyway. So statistically, there's a lot larger of a pool of musicians to become virtuosos. And there are many tens and hundreds of thousands of musicians who never end up becoming a virtuoso. Now, when I get asked this sort of question, a lot of the time it feels like it's coming from a place of, is it too late for me to learn how to play music? And the thing that I would say is, of course not, but it will be a little bit harder for you to do so because of the way that we just live our lives as humans. When you're younger, you'll have more time to dedicate towards music. And there's also some things in the brain which suggest that the neuroplasticity of a pre-adolescent and adolescent human being will lead to faster results in terms of learning how to play music. But there's absolutely nothing in the brain that says that you can't learn how to play music when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60. Virtuosity should not be your goal. Your ability to express a musical thought and idea should always be your goal. And the people whose goal it is to become a virtuoso will almost never achieve that status. Andrew Bell writes, if you're gonna make fun of classical musicians, at least give props to classical percussionists. We're the ones that have to take all the fake nonsense we're hearing and make it sound like it's in time. And I really do salute you guys. You have to deal with the nonsense of the classical string players, so I don't have to. And yeah, thank you so much. You are the real MVPs. Hans Santos writes, reposting this interesting question from Jake Butson 5. Why did you study music composition over music performance? And do you think it helped you avoid Berkeley funk? I studied composition because I thought that it was really cool. I thought that it was really cool to study music, figure out how it was put together, and then create my own music based upon what I learned from studying the music. And it was a great way of combining both the left side and the right side of my brain. The left side, the very analytical, theory-driven sorts of things in terms of control of dissonance and learning all sorts of crazy theories about modality and harmonic structures and blah, 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 blah. But then I could take all that material and just do whatever the hell I wanted with it. And one of the things that I've mentioned before, but a great quote from my teacher, Jim McNeely, was, a composer's job is not to ask the question, may I? It's to ask the question, well, what if? So, I took that to heart. And so, what if it's like a 7-string guitar and 5-string bass and 5 flutes, they're all amplified and there's all crazy effects going through them. And then also 2 trombones facing each other from opposite sides of the room, 2 SPD pads on either side. And you have quadraphonic stereo speakers all around the room. And then, well, what if that sort of thing happened? And the sort of thing that I found exciting about that was I was able to take all that training of the technicality of balancing flute voicings and balancing issues of trombone registration and taking things and, orchestrational sorts of things. But then I could run wild with those ideas. I could make that sort of dream a reality. There's all sorts of things that go into composition that just really, really excite me because it's a way of taking knowledge and exploding it out onto a canvas. And that's so fun. And, that mindset might have helped me avoid Berkeley funk, maybe not at Berkeley or immediately after Berkeley, but certainly after living out in the real world and exploring what was possible. But yeah, composition is pretty neat. Juan Diaz writes, I have a burning question. Love your gig videos. I've been trying to record my gigs to analyze what could be improved, / have some footage for short demos, etc. Could you explain how you go about recording the audio? Well, let me show you some of my toys. This is what I use all the time to record all the audio. It's the Zoom H2N. It's not as awesome as some of the higher end models, but it does the trick. I'll sometimes mount that on one of these guys or maybe one of these guys. These are the Gorilla Pod and whatever this brand is. Anyway, the main thing that I bring to every gig is this guy, which is a lighting stand, which basically slides right into my gig bag, which is fantastic. It's a great way of managing all the equipment that I have to bring. And sometimes I will mount this on top of the lighting stand and place it in a good place in the room if I have enough time to test the acoustics. But sometimes I'll also mount a camera like this guy, which is the Canon Rebel T3i, which also has this backup audio, and I'll, do the whole vlogging thing with this guy sometimes. It's a pain in the ass to carry this guy around, so sometimes I'll just shoot the phone, shoot the gig vlog with the phone. But it does look a lot better with a nice DSLR camera. Mike B writes, because bass solos suck. Please show me the science to back your statement up. Winky face. So I enjoy taking bass solos, of course, but I also realize the effect of a bass solo. And most people who take bass solos really aren't taking into consideration what a bass solo does to a performance. And, you know, the effect is twofold. One, it causes people to talk around you. And, you know, the evidence of that is in all of my gig vlogs where people are talking while I'm playing a bass solo on the bandstand, and they might even be talking to me, having conversations to me as I take a bass solo. But the other effect is, well, because the bass up until that point in the performance has been the foundation harmonically and rhythmically, when you take a solo, that foundation goes away and the forward momentum of the performance stops dead in its tracks. For a lot of bass players, they don't even really care. They're just like, oh my God, it's my turn to solo. Good on you for quoting the lick like that. But, you know, maybe you didn't think it through. Like, is it really necessary to do the solo right now? Is it really necessary to stop the forward momentum in its tracks so you can quote the lick ad nauseum? Most of the time, maybe it's not the best option. And there's a reason why we think about great recorded bass solos is because they filled that musical niche of the bass solo in such a great musical way. And when I see it done live, most of the time, 95% of the time, it's not really filling a musical niche that well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Q&A number 32. If you like what I do, please comment, like, and subscribe. I have a new video coming out every Monday. If you really enjoy what I do, please consider joining my Patreon, because it's through my patrons over at Patreon I'm able to do this week after week. So thank you so much if you are a Patreon patron. And until next time, bass.